Caitlin Clark was on the pregame show, which I loved. She joined Maria Taylor, Carmelo Anthony, and Reggie Miller. Reggie Miller did have to make a headline out of it because they were going through and comparing Caitlin Clark to NBA players. And when Reggie Miller decided to come up with a player comp for Caitlin Clark, this is who he came up with.
Is there like a comparison of someone either you played with or you guys watching the game right now that reminds you of the young lady to your right?
I like Payton Pritchard from Boston, the way he's able to handle the basketball. He makes big shots when the shot clock's running down, a lot like this young lady right here. Isn't afraid of the big moment.
Caitlin Clark is up there smiling, having a good time. Oh, we're going to do player comps? Oh, we're going to get into that? Reggie Miller says Payton Pritchard, and Caitlin Clark's face goes from smile to no. One of the greatest phenomenons in sports in the 21st century is going to be compared to Payton Pritchard.
No disrespect or full
Again,
disrespect,
no disrespect to Payton Pritchard. No, it's disrespectful to Caitlin Clark to call her Payton Pritchard.
Okay, she is right. A couple days ago, we saw Caitlin Clark clearly wasn't happy about a comparison Reggie Miller made on air. Reggie actually compared her to Payton Pritchard. And I'm sorry, that's just a wild comparison. Like, genuinely wild. I'm probably going to make another video later just breaking down lazy Caitlin Clark takes, because a lot of these comps come from people who don't really watch her play. If we're being honest, Caitlin doesn't play like Payton Pritchard. Not in style, not in impact, not in how she controls the game. You can argue about levels all you want, but the way she plays is way closer to someone like Steph Curry. She's a movement shooter, a deep range threat, someone who bends defenses just by stepping over half court. There really aren't many guards, men or women, who play less like Caitlin Clark than Pritchard does. And then you hear people say stuff like, she's never been efficient, which is just flat out wrong. Caitlin Clark was one of the most efficient 20-point-per-game guards in WNBA history as a rookie. That's not opinion, that's fact. So yeah, Reggie made his comparison, and it is what it is. But the backlash just shows how many people still don't really understand her game. So if you know anything about Payton Pritchard, he's an undersized guard with the sickest handles ever. He hits clutch shots, actually, like half-quarter buzzer beaters in NBA Finals games. People act like it was like a diss or something. Payton Pritchard is an absolute beast. May Miller thinks about some similar three-point shot. Absolute baller that overcame the odds, and it is an amazing basketball player. If you watch the way he shoots the ball and the way he handles the rock, you would understand what Reggie Miller was saying. So, Caitlin Clark actually tweeted right after that buzzer beater moment. Payton Pritchard hits a first-quarter buzzer beater against the Dallas Mavericks, and almost immediately, Caitlin responds to the post with a bunch of emojis. And yeah, people took that as a reaction to the whole Reggie Miller comparison thing. Now, Reggie's comp is still rough. Impact on the women's game versus the men's game, that part makes sense. But stylistically, it's a bad comparison. That said, you could do worse than comparing her to someone who's at least proven at the NBA level. Pritchard's had moments, but let's be real. Caitlin's presence, gravity, and influence are on a completely different scale. Also, people keep saying Caitlin and Payton are the same size. She's actually a little taller, and even if they're close in height, their games are nothing alike. This was Caitlin's subtle response to the comp, and honestly, I don't know what Reggie was thinking. If you agree that Caitlin Clark is not Payton Pritchard, you're not alone. We already talked about this whole Caitlin Clark and Reggie Miller thing in yesterday's video, but now it's gone to another level because Caitlin is clearly going out of her way to joke about it. And that tells you everything. She's obviously not happy with the comparison, and honestly, why would she be? Why would anyone in her position be okay with that? It's not even accurate, and that's the worst part. If Payton Pritchard and Caitlin Clark actually played the same way, then fine, whatever. But they don't, not even close. If you're going to make an NBA comparison, LaMelo Ball is way closer in terms of creativity, freedom, and how she manipulates the defense. And even then, LaMelo isn't a perfect comp either, because LaMelo is completely wild with the ball in his hands. A higher IQ LaMelo is honestly a better example of what Caitlyn looks like when she's cooking. But Pritchard? That's just lazy. So yeah, it is what it is. Reggie made the comment, and Caitlyn responded in the most Caitlyn way possible, by joking about it. And people killed me in the comments yesterday saying she has no personality. No personality? She literally burst out laughing in the middle of a gig over this whole thing. That's one of the funniest ways she could have addressed it. She didn't rant, she didn't complain, she didn't make it dramatic. She just made it a joke. People love to say she's not the face of the league. They say she has no personality. And yet, she proves almost every day that she's one of the funniest people in the sport. Now, I'm not saying she's the best personality in the WNBA. She's no Sid Colson, let's be honest about that. Sid is on another level. And I also don't think Caitlyn is as smooth on the mic as someone like Aaliyah Boston, who is really, really good in interviews. But Caitlyn has something different. She doesn't take anything seriously. And from everything we've heard, that's just who she is. Caitlyn Clark does not take life seriously. Not in a careless way, in a healthy way. She doesn't let things get to her. She jokes, she laughs, she keeps it moving. And honestly, that helps with everything. It helps with public perception, it helps with pressure, it helps with dealing with nonsense. Let's be real. If Caitlyn Clark took herself as seriously as a lot of people want her to, she would have broken by now. Absolutely broken. The expectations, the hate, the comparisons, the constant noise, it's nonstop. And the only way to survive that is to be able to laugh at it. You have to be unserious about the unserious stuff. And every single player who's talked about her has said the same thing. When Caitlyn first came into the team, people didn't know what to expect. But after those long practices, those grind sessions, those games, the team realized how funny she actually is. That helped with team chemistry, that helped with bonding, that helped with everyone relaxing around her. Now, I'll always give credit to Christy Sides as a morale coach. I don't think a single player loved her as a basketball mind, and that's just being honest. Not that they didn't respect her as a person, they just didn't really buy in as an elite X's and O's coach. You had a locker room full of players who'd been coached by legends. Caitlyn played for Lisa Bluter, Aaliyah Boston played for Dawn Staley, Nylisa Smith played for Mulkey, Kelsey Mitchell came from Ohio State. You had players who'd been molded by some of the best coaches in the world. Then they get to the league and it's like, okay, here's Christy Sides. That's tough. But where Sides did help was morale. She created an environment where personalities could come out, where Caitlyn could be herself, where the team could loosen up, and that's where Caitlyn's humor really showed. This whole situation is honestly just interesting and funny and kind of ridiculous. And Caitlyn not taking herself seriously is the best possible response. I stand by that 100%. Because if Caitlyn Clark took everything the way social media takes everything, deadly serious, emotional, dramatic, she would have cracked already. There are moments where you just look at your phone and go, what the hell is going on? The discourse is insane. If Caitlyn doesn't care, why do you care? And that's missing the point completely. Of course Caitlyn doesn't care. That's the whole thing. Caitlyn Clark does not take this seriously. But that doesn't mean the conversation around her isn't wild. You've got players reposting pages that pretend to be pro-women's sports, but are really just anti-Caitlyn. And imagine if there was a page doing the opposite, pretending to be neutral, but just hyping Caitlyn nonstop, and Caitlyn reposted it. It would be World War III. So yeah, Caitlyn doesn't care. And I don't think she's sitting on Twitter all day doom scrolling. If anything, she's probably laughing at it. She's probably seeing the nonsense, shaking her head, and joking about it with her friends and teammates. And that's why this whole Reggie Miller comparison thing didn't break her. It didn't get to her. It just became another punchline, another joke, another moment she turned into content. That's the secret. That's why she's still standing. That's why she's still playing free. And that's why she's still Caitlyn Clark. Tell me what you think. Don't forget, like and subscribe.